says we're live, but I never trust it. So every time when John's out and I start talking and they're like, "Hey, you're live," and I'm like, "No, it's still telling me we're not." But oh, we are. We are live. So welcome everybody. Welcome to a wonderful Monday night. Appreciate you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join myself. As you know, John is not here, and that's typical for this first Monday of the month. And Cubbie was feeling a little under the weather. So it was originally supposed to be three of us, Cubbie and myself, and then this other gentleman who I'm about to introduce. And Cubbie's like, nope, can't do it. So if you are connected with him in some form or fashion, I encourage you to reach out, tell him to feel better, tell him to suck it up and just get to it. And no, I'm kidding. He's actually legitimately sick tonight. But with that being said, I have a wonderful gentleman in front of me, Mr. Jared Rosen. Is it Rosen or Rosen?
Rosen, you got it.
Rosen.
First try,
Okay.
Dan. Look at you.
That's what I get. That's what I get. For second guessing myself after I'm saying it. But I had the pleasure of meeting Jared in person at DJX, I think in 2023. But we kind of like have been around each other in some different groups
Look,
and different
Dan,
things.
I've been a fan of yours on this show for a while before we met in person. I was a fan of yours.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. But when we got together that time way back when and we got chatting, the topic was, hey, I do this photo booth thing and I do some upsell things. And I think it'd be a great opportunity for me to kind of share some of my knowledge and some of where I come from. And I said, you know what? I think this is a perfect opportunity. So some of you are getting ready to gear up for next year. You're thinking about, what can I do differently that maybe from the year before, how I do it differently, what maybe I'll add, all those kind of things. And so we figured, going into Cyber Monday, some of the upsell opportunities are out there. So we figured, hey, we'll do this, and then you got a couple of hours to act on it. But even if not, it gives you some things to think about as you plan for 2025 and how you might do some things in a different way. And so I thought, you know what? Let's bring Jared in with an opportunity to talk about that. So, Jared, what I'd love for you to do is to kind of fill everybody in a little bit on your backstory, where you're from. Obviously, we can guess. Well, I was going to say we could guess based upon the background, but you've got Baltimore and then you've got technically Cleveland in the background. And behind you, I think is Washington.
It is. It
But
is.
but
So,
for those who can't tell just by looking at the top of that jersey, who are you?
so, so, thanks, Dan, for the intro. I own a company called Epic Events. We're here in the DC market. I like to say if you leave my house, you turn left, you're on Connecticut Avenue, and it dead ends at the White House. So 6 miles to the White House. It takes about 45 minutes in DC traffic to go those 6 miles. But I've been doing this my whole life. I bought my first set of DJ gear when I was 14 years old, and here I am 25 plus years later. So it's been a lifetime of doing this and doing incredible events, and now run a multi-op that does a little over 300 events a year.
That right there is crazy to think about. Just that sheer number of volume. I know for some of the people that are listening, like they're like, oh, he said multi-op, I'm out, right? I'm a single
Yeah.
op. I Jared and I previewed some of the talking points this afternoon, and I want to assure you that there's things that he's going to talk about tonight, and if he doesn't, I'll make sure I remind him that are going to be perfect, whether you're single, whether you're a multi, whether you're thinking about going either direction. I think you'll be fine. Maybe not everything will apply, but enough of it will be able to apply in each different part that I think you'll be fine with that. So let's talk about how this started. So you mentioned first DJ gear, right?
Yeah.
What, since we're talking upsells tonight, what was kind of your progression to adding something beyond just the DJ realm? Like what kind of went through your thought? Where, what really started that process for you?
Yeah, I just felt that DJing was fun, and every Saturday night it was good money. It was something I enjoyed doing. It was like I'm getting paid to do something that doesn't feel like work. And as my DJ career progressed, college, post college, into my 20s, I realized, hey, I could make an income doing this. I could really make a living doing something that I love, and it doesn't feel like work. I, Eventually, I came to the realization that if it's just me playing music, you're not going to be able to generate enough revenue on each Saturday night to do that. You have to find a way to get more, whether it's get more on, well, originally I thought I could just get enough money for me every Saturday night, getting more items out on the gig, and I could just make a living out of it. So that's where it started. And that's where I said, what else can I bring my clientele? I'm not having trouble booking me as a DJ, but can I add something else and get more money out of this client, this event, that maybe I can continue to grow with it? So that's kind of where my progression started. And that's when I started getting some of the extras. 2012, 2013 timeframe is when I really started focusing on getting more in our offering.
Right. So do you recall what your first upsell item was?
Yes. So my
You say that
very
with some hesitation. I'm almost wondering if we're gonna, it was a chocolate fountain, wasn't it?
no, I'm laughing. My first set of lights. This is hilarious. I had three color strips. I had a color strip bar that was like a yard long, and that went on a T-bar above me. And then I had two color strip minis that I would put on my speaker stands. And then I linked them all with DMX cable, and I was like $300 if you want the color strip setup. And it was like literally the most blinding light that I could possibly have. Um, and then around that time is when I started investing in some uplights. They were the Chauvet 54s or 56s. They were plugins, and it was just I'd set it to red or blue or green, plug it in the wall and be done with it. But I was like, hey, this is easy money. Charging $30 a light. Had 8 lights, making $240 every week. And then the progression of, okay, well, can I do 20 on an event or 24 on an event? And I buy the battery powered one. Now I'm getting requests for photo booths. I'm getting requests for TVs. I'm getting requests for, me being an MC and coming out with a DJ. So my philosophy with upgrades was I would try to sell it and outsource it, get, 20 points on it, get 20%. Like if I sell $1,000 upgrade, I find someone to do it for $800 that owns it, and I get $200 for doing nothing. But if I have it 3 or 4 times on the books, go out and buy it. So that was always my philosophy. Not fake it till you make it, but it's sell it, figure it out when the event comes. You either buy it or you outsource it. So that's how I started doing more than just DJing.
Okay. All right. And that's a good philosophy. Like some people will talk about selling it, and then once you haven't, once you've kind of proven, then you go out and you buy it. I like the idea of the outsourcing just from the simple standpoint of, you're not potentially stuck with something. Now you are relying on somebody else. So obviously you want to make sure that whoever you're outsourcing from is of quality and is not going
Yeah.
to leave you high and dry type of situation. But if you have those relationships, then it's a different
You
story.
just said something, the relationships, doing this for 25 years. This is why when you say network with people in your market, I don't call other DJs or other photo booth companies, other lighting companies, my competitors. They're friends that are in the same business. I can call on anyone in the market here in DC and borrow something from them, outsource something to them. It's great to have a network of people you can rely on. And that's the key. It's you're all on the same team, and find people that you trust to work with. And it's possible if you buy 12 uplights and your client wants 24, that your buddy who works for another company has 12 of the same uplights. Ask him, can I borrow your 12? Great example. Actually, I'm going to give you a great example. I just bought used 4 Pro X dance cubes. My dance cubes were falling apart. Dance cubes are little platforms that people can dance on. And I bought them used. I really liked them. And I was going to buy another 4 new. And Pro X doesn't have any right now. They're back ordered. They're not coming in. I've got an event next week that I need 8 for. So I called my buddy. I said, hey, do you have your dance cubes available? He says, yep, grab them. So relationships are key, and that will truly allow you to grow using other people's products as well as your own.
And kind of the, for lack of better terms, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours, because I'm sure that person you reached out to, maybe you have an agreement on price, but even let's assume for a second that you don't, the idea is, a month from now, if he's kind of in the reverse situation, he can reach out to you. And um
Of,
I think that's great to have that type of, I'm going to call it friendships. I mean, that's really kind of what it comes down to.
Oh, absolutely. Let me give you a quick story. That same guy that's letting me borrow his four dance cubes, no fee. It was, I don't know, springtime. I don't remember the exact date, May or June, whenever it was. The venue he was DJing at lost power. He's from a slightly different market than me. He's in Baltimore. I'm in DC. And he called me. He goes, I'm kind of near your warehouse, I think. My venue just lost power. We're moving to another venue that doesn't have lighting. His venue had built-in lighting. I said, go to my warehouse. My uplights are in the back. My movers are there. Take what you need. So, and I know this wasn't the intent of our conversation, but it's always networking with other people in your industry because you never know when you're going to need help. And we have a really good network here of people that just help each other out.
Nice. All right, let's get back
Let's
to
do
the
it.
idea of
Yep.
upselling here for
Yep.
more specifically, not just borrowing other people's stuff.
Yeah.
But when you started adding on uplighting and you started going, or not uplighting, I'm sorry, upselling different things. Um what kind of lessons did you learn about helping your clients buy? Like do you, I already know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask you like I don't know the answer. Um, do you try and get your client to settle on everything right from the get-go, or is it something that you set up later? Like, how do you get them from I want Jared, I want Epic Events
Yeah.
to I want Epic Events to do this, 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 and this for me?
So I don't use the term upselling. We're using the term here in the industry because upselling is I've sold my DJ product. Now what else can I get into them? And right, it kind of makes sense. Can I get them to buy uplights a month of? Can I get them to buy dancing on a cloud? Can they add in a photo booth? But I like to do what I call top-down selling. And the idea behind that is I get a referral, I get a lead, come to my website, they call me, they refer to me via venue. I say, amazing. I'd love to chat with you. I'd love to find out your vision. I'd love to find out what will make this event successful for you. And it has to be on video. If it's phone, I'll allow it if they don't want to get on the video. But ideally, it's a video chat. If I can see how they react, I can see their body language and questions. Tell me about the last wedding you went to. Tell me about some things that you liked. Tell me about some things you didn't like. And I'll joke, I'll say, I promise I won't tell your friend what you didn't like about her wedding. But find out what's important to them. Or you get a new client for, we're in holiday season now, you're still going to get some last minute bookings. Tell me about why you didn't want to DJ this year, but you're coming last minute. You know, did you have a bad experience last year? Oh, yeah, the DJ last year didn't have a great presentation. I saw all of his or her wires. There wasn't any lighting in the room, etc. They're telling you their pain points. And all you have to do is respond and say, well, good news. We bring a facade. We bring up lights. What's important to you? So when I meet with a client and then I present my options to them, I'm not saying here's our base package and then, okay, if you want a photo booth, it's this price. If you want uplights, it's this price. If you want 5 uplights or 10 uplights or 15, I'm giving them a complete package. Dan, I'll say based on your goals, you are looking for 20 uplights because you have 20 columns in your room. It was really important to you that we had a separate cocktail hour sound system, so we want to make sure that's included. You talked about the dinner space being in a different room and wanted to do the speeches in there. So we've included a remote sound system for speeches. You can also hear everything, but then it's going to sync the dance floor with the dinner space and bring it all into one. You talked about you didn't like how your friend had the photo booth in the corner and nobody was dancing because they were at the photo booth. But guess what? We have a walk around photo booth that we can include, and I've included that in the package for you. Where I'm going with it is listen to what your client is looking for and present a package that's going to reach their goal. In the end, you may give them a $7,000 package and they wanted to spend $2,500 and you say, fine, $2,500, you'll get a DJ. And that may be all they want. But you've addressed their concerns, and it's going to be amazing how quickly people say yes to all the extras when you sell it as their goal, not your goal.
And I think one of the things that's important about what you just mentioned is too often times I think that the client knows what they want, right? The
Yep.
client knows I want uplighting. The client knows I want a photo booth. And in some aspects, that's true, right? Like they've seen it at whatever, and oh, I know I want that. But I don't think it's one of those things that when they're reaching out, that's always something that comes to the forefront.
Yep.
I think a lot of times it's I want a successful event and I don't necessarily know what that looks like. And so exactly as you're saying, like figuring out what they've seen, what they like, what they don't like, allows you to paint that picture a little bit better to be able to show what's there.
What's the term?
So
They don't know what they don't want, what they don't know. I think that's the term that we had talked about. And you're absolutely right. And part of it is education. I'll use the analogy of a restaurant. You can go to a restaurant, call it the Cheesecake Factory. I'm a big Cheesecake Factory fan. Everyone here probably knows about the Cheesecake Factory. Huge menu, right? You'll spend 20 minutes flipping through the menu. And I'll tell you, every time I go to the Cheesecake Factory, I settle on the exact same thing because there's too many choices. But then when you go to, not saying the Cheesecake Factory is not fine dining, it is good food. But if you go to a steakhouse, you go to somewhere a little bit more boutique, you may ask the server, "What do you recommend? Can you tell me what the chef recommends? What is the chef making today that's special today?" Or hey, I really like steak. What are your recommendations on the steak side? You want to be that fine restaurant. You don't want to be the Cheesecake Factory taking orders. You want to be the fine dining restaurant giving advice, finding out what your client likes, and making recommendations. Because I can tell you when I go to a nice restaurant and ask for a recommendation, I'm not looking at the price on the menu. Heck, there may not even be a price on the menu at some of these places, right? But a Cheesecake Factory, I may be looking, well, this is $25, this is 20. I'm just going to go with the $20 option. So be the expert that your client wants you to be, and that's going to build trust. And then when they need to add in the extras, then when, hey, do you have a recommendation for a florist? Do you have a recommendation for a photographer? It may not be stuff you do, but then you're bringing referrals to other people in your network. And those referrals are going to say, wait a minute, Jared and Dan have given me 8 referrals in the last 2 months. I want to start sending them business. So it's more about finding out what you can do to help your client and be the expert. So that's my philosophy. I know I've forgotten more about this industry than my client will ever know. And you have to go in with that mindset.
so there's two things that you mentioned.
Yeah.
One I want to kind of touch on here. So when you're talking with the clients and you
Mhm.
mentioned like, okay, in this scenario of what I envision, is what you're looking for. This package, it includes 20 uplights.
Yeah.
Do you typically go in with that? Like it includes this number of certain things, or do you paint it in a different picture?
Yeah. I'll be honest, the number of uplights doesn't even come up in conversation. I call it full room uplighting. Internally, I have a warehouse manager. So when the warehouse manager sees that an event has one full room uplighting, he pulls 24 uplights. If he sees 2 full room uplightings, he pulls 48 uplights. So internally, full room uplighting is 24. Now I get to a room that has 16 columns and they want each column lit. Well, that's 16 lights. I'll put the 8 somewhere else. I'll put it in the corners. I'll put it in the hallway. I'll put it wherever, or I'll keep it in the case. I'm not selling uplights by the light. I'm selling it by the design. There, very rarely do we need more than 24 in a room. So really, I just say, look, for this price, you get your whole room covered, as much or as little as you need.
And I think that's key. I think that's really key. Like too oftentimes we see in the Facebook groups, you know, how much are you selling per uplight? And I think within your own brain, two aspects to that. Like as you're pricing out how you're going to do it, I like Jared's idea exactly. Like to do a full room, we're gonna use 24. And if they're in such a large room where there's multiple rooms, now you're looking at multiple packages.
Yeah.
But if you go into the idea of, everyone's going to include this, then that package is worth this. And now you're not trying to figure out, oh, this new venue that I've never been to. Now I got to go do a site visit before I can really give them the idea of what they're spent. Just get the understanding of, is it going to be one room? Is it going to be two rooms? Is it going to be 12 rooms? Whatever might be the case, so that you're kind of more refined with that.
Yeah, and look, this was a new phenomenon for me within the last year. I had a client that wanted uplights that and I said, great, it's $30 an uplight. And they said, wonderful. I'm going to take 7 uplights for $210. And I said, first of all, a odd number of uplights sounds weird to me because I want the whole room to be balanced. I think I ended up doing 16 and just didn't bring it up to them. But the client is going to think about price. They're thinking, okay, I want to spend $200 on uplight. So 200 divided by $30 an uplight. Okay, I can do about 7 uplights. That's not what we want our clients doing. And again, I charge $700 for full room uplighting. So I've gone from a client that's backed into $200 that I'm sure if I just offered her full room uplighting, she would have paid the full seven. So that's the mindset you go in. You're the expert. Tell the client we take care of the room. You don't have to worry about it. And one less thing they need to stress about.
I'm gonna go one more thought here, and then I got to remind. Well, let me go ahead and remind everybody. So remember, in case you guys are new to joining us on a Monday night, when John is not here, the only chat that I'm able to see tonight is over at YouTube, and it's the channel that is the Disc Jockey News channel. So if you're someplace else watching this on Facebook, watching it on one of the other YouTube channels, and you're commenting, and I'm totally ignoring you, it's not on purpose. I can't see it. So head on over to youtube.com/. Disc Jockey News /live. That is where you want to make sure that you're at, so that we can get any of those questions. One thought is about uplighting, and then I do want to kind of switch over to some photo booth conversations, because that really was what started us like connecting about all this anyway. But I would encourage some of you to create. Jared talked about the full room uplighting. I have a full room and I have a partial room. I don't talk about the partial room to my clients unless they're balking at the full room. Or in that conversation that I'm having with them, they kind of tell me that, the venue that they have, they really just want to uplight behind the head table. Or they want to, they want the cake table to really kind of stand out. I know who does cakes anymore, but let's say they really want it to stand out, right? So rather than them go, I want the whole room, now they're just talking about a small area. Pain point for them might be paying for the whole room when they don't want it. So when I have that conversation with them and I start hearing they don't want the whole room, I get an idea of what they want, and then I have a partial room package that I just word it like that. And mine developed because a couple years ago I had a client who did not want my uplighting, and I was like, okay. And I got there and they had 6 uplights that they had rented from some mail-in place, and just all they wanted was on the columns. And they didn't want the whole room. So when I was talking about the full room, they didn't want it. Rather than having that conversation to say, no, we just want the columns, they're like, oh, it was my not following through with those right questions. So I encourage you to ask the right questions. Like if they're saying no, find out, if they're saying no, but their vision says yes, that's the key. If they're saying no, but their vision says yes, then find out what's causing that hang up. Maybe they're at budget. Maybe it's they didn't really want the full room. Could be a lot of different things.
And sometimes, Dan, I'm so confident that uplighting is what they need that I'll tell clients when you walk into the room, if you don't think it makes a big enough difference, I'll turn off the lights and I'll refund you the money. It won't be on during your party, but fine. All I lose is a little bit of setup time. I've never had a client that has said to me, turn off the lights and give me back my money. Not once. Uplights are the most cost-effective way to transform a room, transform a space. We let clients know that. We show them before and after. We show them shots from the same part of the room during dinner when it's candlelight, and then dancing when it's so you got your warm colors for dinner, and then dancing where you have your cool colors, and we show them how the room gets transformed because we hit one button at the DJ booth. And you have photos of before and after to show them. Again, you can't assume that your client knows anything, but if you say, look at the room with no lighting, look at the room with a nice soft candlelight, well, it's a warm light, candlelight, and then look at this cool color for dancing, it sells itself.
Nice.
So
So one of the other things before we switch, this was the other comment that I was kind of wondering about that. Let's assume for a second in your conversations, at this point, all they're really willing to do is DJ.
yeah,
How are you, how are you getting that message to them to consider that later on, they might want to add this?
absolutely. So I'm very transparent with pricing. I know we talked about a little bit of I'm doing top-down selling, but if they say to me, well, what's just a DJ? We don't want the extras. But then there's a price for that. But what I say is there is a price for everything. And that price is today's price. And I can't promise you when your event happens a year and a half from now that today's price for the uplight, today's price for the photo booth is going to be the same as a year and a half from now. So the benefit of booking something now is the price, right? Paper prices go up. I got to pay my staff more. So you're not guaranteed a rate unless you book it now. A lot of clients decide to book it as they get closer to the event, and that's perfectly fine. So I would assume, though I'm sure there's a lot of people still just working off of email and Google Calendar. My guess is that most listeners have some type of CRM system. If they don't, I personally, I'm not saying this is better than the other, but I use DJ Event Planner. There's all these great CRMs out there right now. My guess is that every single CRM has some type of automated email. Everything is automated. 6 months before their event, hey, have you considered an uplight? Have you considered a photo booth? Sometimes we say, hey, we have one left, when in reality, I'll buy another photo booth if I'm out of photo booths, right? But a lot of our clients need to book talent. There's only one Dan, there's only one Jared. I have other DJs on my team. So if you want one of those DJs, you have to book them early. But when it comes to the upgrades, you don't have to. But I still have in my notes, you know, client A really liked the idea of uplights, wasn't sure about the price, loved the idea of a photo booth, but wasn't sure if it was going to be popular enough in a year and a half and wanted to hold off. So yeah, we'll have some auto emails, but also have some of your selling points in your notes. Again, it's all saved in a CRM. My email inbox is a mess. I try not to save emails. Anything important goes into my CRM that I can go back and reference a year later. Different statuses. So this person has a DJ, this person has a photo booth and a DJ, they have lighting and a DJ. We can target the emails based on a variety of factors. Um, the event type, right? If you're doing a wedding or a corporate event, you can target emails for that. So utilize a CRM and automate as much as you can. It makes things a lot easier because what you'll get is that random email from that random client who you haven't spoken to in 6 months saying, hey, I want to talk about uplighting in a photo booth. And then $2,000 later, you've got, a little bit more cash in your pocket because of that email.
I think it's key. If you're not having some sort of automation set up, I mean, some of us that are watching this, myself included, like I'm do not do this full time.
Mhm.
Even if I was full time, then I'm doing a volume of things. I might not have time to sit there and meticulously follow up. So having some sort of automation piece can really benefit you in a lot of ways. And if you're not reaching out to those maybes, you're not reaching out to those question marks, you're leaving money on the table. You're leaving that opportunity, as Jared said, whether it's $2,000, whether it's $200, whatever it might be, that upsell piece. If you're not continuing that conversation, it's kind of lost. But be careful, right? I would say be careful. You don't want to come across too salesy. You've had a relationship with them. You've started this relationship with them, so you do want to continue that vibe. You don't want to continue that feeling with them. And it's just, hey, just want to let you know, exactly as Jared said, maybe you have one left, maybe you have a whole warehouse left.
Yeah.
But opening that door is going to be beneficial to helping them with
Yep.
that. And so that automation piece, set that up. DJ Event Planner is a great place to go for that. And then there are also people out there to help you with your CRMs and getting those
Yeah.
automations set up. So
Yeah.
there's lots of multitudes. You're not alone in that, because I know sometimes those CRMs, people don't jump on it because it's like the setup is the hardest part. But once it's
So
there,
I was on Event Planner for 8 or 9 years before I even paid as an 8 or 9 year pro at the time. It was during COVID when I was sitting at home doing nothing. So I paid for one of the systems that has you automate your event planner and paid for a system and spent about 30 to 40 hours over a couple weeks overhauling everything. Now, some of my emails literally say, this is an automated email. Hey, I'm just letting you know it's an automated email, but guess what? We are 6 months out. Just checking in. It may have been a while since we last spoke and signed our contract. Here's a few reminders. Your balance is due. Here's the event. Maybe they didn't have a venue when they booked you. Maybe the timing has changed. So I reconfirm everything. Hey, you've got so and so venue at this time. Is this all correct? And sometimes it's just like, great, this sounds amazing. But in that email, I may say, by the way, as a reminder, if you haven't booked from us yet, we have photo booth uplights, sparks, dancing on the clouds, ceremony service, whatever you want to offer, you can do that. But it's secondary. The primary reach out was, hey, just checking back in. And yes, this is automated, but it's an easy way to get back in touch with you. So you have to develop your own system and put it in your own words as well.
Nice. And I like that last piece of just, I mean, flat out telling them that this is automated so that they don't think for lack of better terms, don't think you're pushing in some of those.
Yeah.
So definitely. All right, let's switch gears to the photo booths. I can't believe we actually talked about that other stuff so much longer than what I thought. So you have a business model, I think, that is something that especially the solo ops, I think could really thrive from. Describe how you handle your multitude of photo booths in different ways that you handle it.
It took me a while, probably longer than I wish it took me to realize you're not going to make a lot of money on talent. What I mean by that is, and again, I don't know if we mentioned this, I don't do a lot of weddings. It's not really my market. I'm going to speak to weddings because my guess is that most of our listeners or most of the people watching are in the wedding market. Let's just say that I'm going to charge $2,500 for a wedding. My talent, that DJ, that assistant, that roadie, that guy setting up the lighting, they're going to want $1,200, $1,500, whatever the number is. So yes, the company may bring in a $750 to $1,000 margin, but the percentage is low. I'm making maybe 50% of that. So I realized on the photo booth side, my margins are a lot higher. Yes, the total is lower, right? It's $1,000 or $1,200 booth. But if you're paying somebody $25 an hour and they're replaceable, right? You don't have to train. You don't need 3 or 4 or 5 years to train a DJ, an MC. You could train someone on a photo booth in a month. You can scale up. So I realized that I'll give you my photo booth story. We talked about upselling. A bunch of people kept asking me for photo booths, and I said, hey, it's a free roadie. If I'm selling a photo booth, I'll pay, I'm making a margin on that photo booth. I can have that photo booth attendant help me with my DJ gear, right? Or if I got to go to the bathroom, that photo booth attendant can run over if the song is ending and flip it. I can show them how to switch songs. Well, I'm dating myself a little bit because this is probably still when I was on CDs when I was thinking about this.
You said
But
flip the song. I was like, are we going back to vinyl here?
this is before tractor cruise mode and Serato autoplay, but I realized that the percentage on the margin was a lot greater on the photo booth, and it allowed me to scale up. That was 2012, 2013 when I bought my first photo booth, and I stuck with one photo booth for a couple years, and I offered it to my clients, and then a client didn't want a photo booth, and my photo booth is sitting in my garage. Wasn't going out that night. So I would start marketing it to other people, other clients. Hey, photo booth, photo booth. I got a guy. So now that photo booth is out on another event. I'm DJing an event. The photo booth's out at another event, and I'm making additional money that I wasn't originally going to make. Granted, photo booths back then were $7,000, $8,000. They came fully built out, and they weren't as light and portable as they are today. But you realize you can make money on extras, and photo booths became a big part of what we offer.
So from there, so exactly as you were saying, right? Like it's going out with some other people.
Mhm.
Um, what kind of how did it scale up then, right? Because it's continued to go, and you've really kind of set it up so it's not always you, for lack of better terms.
So that's a great two parts there. So how my scale up, even up until this 2020 time when none of us got to work. I'm not going to say the C word. Up until 2020, it was still a lot of photo booths with the DJ. And it wasn't a lot of, oh, we can take photo booths and do all these other events. But it was a great upsell for the DJ event. When we came out and everything reopened 2021, 2022, we lost a lot of talent. An MC on my team moved to Europe. An MC on my team moved to Florida. So I do a lot of bar and bat mitzvahs, and in bar and bat mitzvahs, the MC is the real talent. The DJ is not the focal point of the client, though the DJ is the heart of the party, the soul of the party. The client is booking the MC. So unfortunately, losing MCs is really difficult. And so when everything kind of reopened, we didn't have a team. We weren't, we had to replace guys and train guys, and it takes time to do that. So we really went hard on the photo booth side. And we bought a booth, we bought a second booth, bought a third booth, and we kept adding booths. We bought the 360, and now I have 12 different photo booths, and I've replaced old ones. My oldest booth I bought in 2022. So I have 12 booths that I purchased in the last 2.5 years. But I'm saying that because there was immense growth in that, and that we were able to expand from our niche, which was really bar bat mitzvahs, which have a different buying cycle and a different event cycle than weddings, and a different buying cycle and event cycle than corporate. My slowest month is July. You know, prior to me getting into photo booths, I'd have a goose egg in July, oftentimes zero events. Well, now I have photo booths at company picnics. I have photo booths at weddings. There's so many different opportunities to get in. And let's be honest, they may need a DJ. They may come into me for a photo booth and then add a DJ a couple weeks later. It's a different way to get into clients.
Okay. So how do you keep them all busy? Like what do you, epic events,
Yep.
as it stands, do you have kind of I want to say like two divisions within it so that you can really kind of help market this standalone photo booth side?
Yeah, so a couple of things. I was I'm a big event industry podcast, event industry video. Find people that you can listen to. As I said, I had known about Dan before Dan and I met in person because I watched this show. I was listening to a DJ podcast a couple weeks ago, and this is the essence of what I try and do to build. It said, for every task you have as a business owner, you have to figure out how to delegate it, automate it, or eliminate it. So my goal is not to get involved in the day-to-day business. What can I do to improve the business, but not load photo booths or not deal with photo booth designs? I need to get out there marketing. I need to be reaching out to potential venues and party planners and photographers and florists and decor people and arcade people and say, hey, I've got this incredible photo booth offering. Don't forget about me. Well, while I'm doing that, I've got a warehouse manager pulling the photo booths and getting ready for that night's event or that weekend's events. I have a photo booth manager that's reaching out to clients to do the design work and pick their backdrops. So to grow your business, you really have to focus on the marketing aspect of it, the sales aspect of it, and not get involved with the client needs another revision. I don't care how many revisions my client has because I'm not doing it. To be honest, I hired a photo booth manager to handle that for me. So,
One of you hit on something here, and I think
yeah,
it's important for you for a lot of us to kind of think about. A lot of our venues, at least from my experience, I think,
yeah,
know me as a DJ who has a photo booth.
sure.
They don't necessarily know me as a photo booth as a DJ, and I've also got a photo booth company. So what kind of gets missed, I think, for some of my venues is that opportunity of going, we've got a DJ, or the client's got a DJ, but they don't have a photo booth and they don't know who to necessarily turn to.
Mhm.
Even though my photo booth comes with an attendant and they've seen that there, they might not be aware of that. So I think it's important that when you're reaching out to some of those other vendors, and I used
Mhm.
Venue as an example,
Yep.
but some of the other vendors just in general, that they're aware that this can be a standalone piece, that this
Yeah.
can be a piece to work with. Um, and you mentioned something earlier, and kind of an idea of way that maybe somebody could take and run with this. I'm going to kind of use some liberty with what you're talking about. So
Yep.
in the beginning, you were talking about your friend and the way that they've got, like when they need something, they reach out to
For
you.
sure.
When you need something, you reach out to them. You kind of got the you scratch my back, I scratch your idea. However, you could, in theory, let's assume for a second that this person does not have your upsell available.
Mhm.
You could work out an arrangement with them to say, listen, I've got it. It's not used. Why don't we work out a financial agreement here? And it can be your company's for the night. And nothing that I have will be under that label. Um, that can be a great way for you, especially, and this is where I'm thinking, especially the solo operation, right? Solo ops, we don't have, if you're a multi-op and you've got 5 DJs working for you, there's 5 opportunities for that upsell of the uplighting or the photo booth or whatever it is that you've got to be able to go out.
Yep.
But if you're one person, it's either going with you or it's sitting on the shelf.
Yep.
And I think we all would agree we want it going out. We want it being used. We want it, and that's where some people get the idea of doing the all-inclusive packages.
So
But go ahead.
no, please go. You go.
I was just gonna say, so I think it's important for you to be able, as a solo op, to have those other 4 people who are not part of your company to be able to use your gear in a way that's going to make you and them some money.
Building relationships with your market. People that you're competitors with, but don't view them as competitors because you have to think that there's enough business to go around. If you're in a large city, DC, New York, LA, or some of the big cities, Chicago, right, Dallas, there's more than enough business to go around. But even if you're in a small town and there's 6 core wedding DJs and you're all fighting over everything, there's still going to be 6 weddings on a Saturday night. There's enough work for all of you. So become friends with them. I hosted a networking event. There was a hotel I just renovated. I approached a hotel and I said, this is going back to me having the time to do it. I said, I'd love to host a networking event and bring my entire vendor community in so they see your renovations. And this is June. And we hosted what we called our renovation reveal in November. I brought 60 industry professionals in. Now, most of them were in the photo booth DJ world because that's my contact, but I brought in, everyone. Where I'm going with this is you always need help. So you may want to sell lounge furniture, but you don't own lounge furniture. You don't want to store lounge furniture. You don't want a truck to have lounge furniture. So you reach out to a decor company. You say, hey, do you mind if I sell your lounge furniture? Give me some pricing and give me, a 20% discount that I can take that as mine and sell their product. Go to other DJs and say, hey, by the way, I have these sparks that I bought for 2 weddings that booked. I have the insurance for it. I have the licensing for it. You don't have spark. Offer mine. Double check with me if they're available. Offer mine. There's a way for everyone to share warehouses. It's a term that I use. Sometimes clients ask me and they say, can you offer this? I says, yeah, it doesn't sleep at my warehouse, sleeps at somebody else's warehouse, but I can still offer it and provide you the same service that you get with all these other core products I offer. You don't want to lie to your clients and say it's yours, but you can say, I have strategic partnerships with a dancing on the cloud company, with a photo booth company, with, anything you're looking for. Let's talk about speakers. You may have cocktail hour, ceremony, dinner, and main dancing. That's 4 setups. You may only have 2 sets of speakers and you don't want to move speakers around. Well, you reach out to somebody, hey, you had a pair of Maui Go 5s. Are those available? Are those Everest 8s available? I'd love to borrow them from you. develop those relationships and you can expand your offering without expanding your footprint, basically. Gives you more to offer. Find out what your competitors need. You know your market. So one of the things that we did is almost every DJ in my market offers a digital photo booth. It's an iPad and it's a ring light, and it's the easiest thing to offer, and it's an easy upsell. And if your client doesn't know any better, they're going to pay $1,000 or $1,200. They're not going to think about it. Most DJs in my market do not offer print photo booths. They don't offer photo booths with cameras. They don't have shout out to PB backdrops, but sorry if I'm not allowed to say that. I have over 50 backdrops on my site now that my clients can pick from. Most DJs have 4 to pick from. What I'm saying is partner with somebody else. So if a DJ wants to sell my print photo booth, they don't want to lose a client. That client says, I want to buy my photo booth from the DJ. I want it to be a print photo booth. You have a print photo booth. Don't lose the client over that. Develop a relationship with someone that has print photo booths. The way it works is I give them a 20% discount and they charge whatever they want. So going back to offer more than you own, develop strategic partnerships. That's how you grow without spending a lot of money up front.
That's key because those relationships are going to be important. I really think, it I used to have that philosophy, right? Like everybody, everybody was my competition, everything else. And as I've gone into this and developed it further, the people that are my competition are the ones that are behind my back doing things that are shady. Those are my competition because I don't want to deal with them. But everybody else has have great relationships. Casey and I, we talked about, a bunch of different times. Dude, you're like 2 minutes walking from my house. And we oftentimes get together and chat and just kind of bounce ideas off each other. And that's going to be the key piece. Your spouse is also going to like it if you're bouncing ideas off of somebody else and not constantly them.
That is true. That is absolutely true. But I think the key is, and Dan, the way we met is this is why I go to conferences because I get to meet people, even if they're in my market. I met a guy in my market that I had known about for a while, met him at DJX for the first time this year. I actually reached out to him on Facebook before even meeting him in person and said, hey, I think you were at DJX last year. Are you going this year? I'd love to just meet you. And met him for the first time. He's a DJ. He owns multiple photo booths in my market, primarily weddings. But again, it was just meet other people in your market. It could be at an expo. It could be take them out to lunch, other things. I want to go back a little bit, Dan, on something that you said to me. You said, well, how do you differentiate yourself? People know me as a DJ. They don't know me as the photo booth guy. Anyone can buy a photo booth and say they're a photo booth guy, right? You can go to any website, buy a photo booth, and within a week, you got the software loaded and you can market yourself as a photo booth guy. It's the service that you provide that differentiates yourself. Because I can tell you right now, no one can match my service. You can get close. We make our clients feel like $1 million. And that is the most important thing that we can do. My employees, if they want to go buy a photo booth and start their own photo booth company, they're not going to beat me because they can't provide the service that we provide on the back end. If you're so confident that your photo booth is just as good as your DJ services, it's still time. Reach out to all your preferred venues. Most preferred venues are going to have their employee holiday parties after the first of the year. Reach out to them and say, hey, I know you know me as a DJ. We have this amazing photo booth that you haven't considered. Can I do a photo booth for your employee party? It's a donation. Like, you're not going to pay me, but I want to show you and your team a great time and show you our product. I would be shocked if a venue says no, or if a party planning company says no, or another center of influence says no to you. People say don't do free photo booths. This isn't a free photo booth. This is marketing in front of a center of influence that if they love their experience is going to give you more and more events. So just something to think about is how do you differentiate yourself? How do you say I'm no longer a DJ, but we're a DJ and a photo booth company, or we're just a photo booth company? Get out and show people your product. I think I shared this with you. You can see behind me, I've got a bunch of sports jerseys. I'm a big sports fan. Now, Dan, I am going to quiz you what movie this is from behind
Oh, come
me.
on, Major League, of
All
course.
right, you said Indians. I had to make sure. All these are
Yeah.
signed by that's actually signed by Charlie Sheen, which is pretty cool. But I got to do, I'm a big DC sports fan, big Capitals fan. I got to do a private event for the team, a photo booth. That was a referral from a party planner. I'm doing a Christmas party for the team's wives and girlfriends in 2 weeks because I'm in with that party planner, not because I'm a fan of the team. The experiences you get when you go into other people to do the selling for you, party planners, venues, let them sell for you. Let them bring you into their clients. And they're going to say, Dan provides the best photo booth. He's our first choice. Oh, and by the way, he's also our first DJ choice. Get it all from him. It's a much easier sale than buying a lead on Bark or running Facebook ads or someone who's calling you just to get pricing. So use your upsells and get in with centers of influences, and that's can help you grow. Um, Our photo booths are all wired the same. We buy the exact same photo boost. For those of you that have seen me online, it's pretty easy to know who we use. We use the same guy for our DJ boost, for our photo boosts, and everything is identical. We get the booth in, we wire it as much as we can, identically to the next. So if a teammate takes booth 1 or booth 4, it doesn't matter. Same software, same camera position, same wiring. It's all identical, and it allowed us to scale up.
That's key, but that is because you just mentioned it, and it's something you even talked about earlier. Like the stuff that goes with it is all the same. So
Identical.
that way, if they grab bag A with booth B, they're still getting exactly what they need to provide that top level of service for the client, um, without
And
something got mixed or we grabbed the wrong thing or anything like that.
And one other thing about when I say our service is better than everyone else's, there are things that we do, and I'm not saying I'm the best. I'm just saying that we want to provide the best service we possibly can. I don't ask anything of the venue. We send out hotspots. We send out battery packs. So when I get to a venue, I'm not asking for a table. I'm not asking for access to the internet. I'm not asking where the power is. If there's power, we'll run a power cord. If not, we'll do a battery pack. So we're known when we show up to that venue. Oh, Jared and his team are here. Oh, this is going to be easy. They're not going to run me down for access to the Wi-Fi password, or they're not going to beg me for a code. Another thing we do, I send my team out. When you go to like Sam's Club or Costco, you can buy the little forks and knives with the napkin and the little plastic pack. I send my photo booth attendants with some of those. So when they go get food off a buffet, they're not hunting down the staff to get a fork and a knife and a plate and all that stuff, right? Make it easy on the venues you go to so they will like working with you and they will refer you. And that's the way that we've been able to scale up and differentiate yourself from just being a DJ company to an uplighting company, a photo booth company, and whatever else you want to offer.
I think that's a spot on piece, especially with that ability to have that upsell, whatever it is, not just as an upsell piece, which is obviously what the key point of what we were talking about tonight, but also using it as a standalone piece. If you have the ability to do that, it differentiates yourself also. Like in my market, most people and I'll even be honest, right? Like I had a company that reached out to me for DJ and photo booth. I was booked that night. I started talking to them about just the photo booth, and they immediately shut me down because they were like, what good is a photo booth without a DJ? And I tried to explain to them, but by that point they were already lost.
Yeah.
But that's because most people don't think about the separate. They don't think about those two different pieces. That's how I got started with having a photo booth, is because I was losing events because I didn't have one, and they insisted on having both together. And now I find it funny that I'm kind of losing out on the other side because I can't be both together. Excuse me. But it's something to think about, and it's definitely a direction to go with that upsell piece. Finding out what the client wants, but also keeping them informed of decisions as you go, and looking for those other ways to get it out. Even if you're by yourself, right, and you need to be able to get it out with that employee that's going along, is going to be key. So,
Absolutely.
anything else that I missed that you wanted to chat? We got there's a minute or two here yet to go. If there's
No, I
anything.
appreciate the opportunity. I'd say that I'm not the most active on social media, but if you see me in a Facebook group or you want to send me a DM on Instagram, or feel free to look at I don't know if you would give out my Instagram, but if you want to look
Go
at our
for it.
company Instagram, so company Instagram and Facebook is at Epic Events DMV. DMV is District, Maryland, Virginia, what we call the DC area. Um, I think on Instagram, my personal DJ Jared Rosen. Facebook, I'm in all the Facebook groups. You can probably find me. If you have any questions, I'd love to help. You know, I started out as a solo op doing one event a week, and now we're doing over 300 a year. It doesn't happen overnight. I had a lot of guidance along the way. I still have mentors that I go to. So if you're just starting out and you got a question or two, reach out. I'd love to help.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Jared, thank you very much for joining in tonight. Hopefully we answered everybody's questions because nobody was throwing them in the chat that I could see.
They're all in Facebook. They're all in the Facebook group
They
right
were.
now.
They were. That's the way it is. But John will get those later, and we'll try and answer anything that we can, obviously, along the way. But everybody, thank you very much for joining us. Next week, I think, excuse me, next week, I think we're gonna have some other special guests coming in, and we're gonna be talking about games because with holiday parties and company parties that are happening after the new year, games are going to be key in some of those. So we're going to try and bring that back and talk about that next week. Coming up at 10 o'clock tonight, here in just a few minutes, head on over to djntv.com/chill. That is the chill room. You go in there, you hang out, you watch what the conversation is. And then when they're done recording, you can pop in and you guys can talk all night long. People are doing it like 3, 4 in the morning. They're still chatting. You can go do that if you'd like. Again, djntv.com/chill. Have yourself a great night, everybody. Thank you very much. And we'll catch y'all next.